Tēnā koutou katoa, nau mai, haere mai, aroha mai e te whānau. Mōrena tātou, good morning everyone. How lovely the sun is shining for us today. Tēnā koe our kaumātua Papa Jerry, tēnā koe to Baden, our chair of Ngāti Kahanunu. A very, very warm welcome to Honourable Mark Mitchell, Minister of Emergency Management and Recovery. It's wonderful to have you with us. A very warm welcome to Catherine Wedd, MP for Tukituki, Police Commissioner Andrew Costa, Reverend Zane Whelan and Reverend David Van Overend, representatives of all emergency services, our councillors from Hastings District Council and the Hawke's Bay Regional Council, and our Rural Community Board representatives. And most importantly, the whānau of those who lost loved ones through Cyclone Gabrielle. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us today to acknowledge the first anniversary of Cyclone Gabrielle, the most devastating weather event our region's people has ever faced. Today, we remember those who lost their loved ones, and we met you this morning, the whānau. Those who lost their homes and their property. And last night, we met people who lost their livelihoods through the extreme hardship faced by so many. Around 4 a.m. on the morning of 14th of February, after a night of gale force winds and the highest rainfall ever recorded in our region, Hastings and Napier mayors declared a state of emergency. Daylight revealed the severity of the cyclone's impact. By 8 a.m, a national state of emergency was declared for only the third time in Aotearoa New Zealand's history. Rivers and streams had burst their banks, bridges had collapsed, roads had slipped away and were impassable. Families were stranded in desperate need of rescue. Hundreds of families were without food, without water, without power, and without communications. And our hearts go out to our people today who suffered terrifying trauma and stress that morning following the days, weeks, and months. Today we remember and acknowledge with gratitude the courage and the bravery of our New Zealand Fire and Emergency Service, Police, Civil Defence, National Emergency Management Agency, the New Zealand Defence Force, Surf Life Saving, Volunteer Search and Rescue, our helicopter pilots, our local people who used whatever means they had to save the lives of so many. The destruction from Cyclone Gabrielle in those first weeks was overwhelming. Access was cut off to 30 communities. 16 bridges had collapsed and 26 were badly damaged. 104 kilometres of roads were destroyed or rendered impassable, and hundreds of culverts were destroyed or blocked. Communication infrastructure was taken out, making it impossible for anxious family members to find out if their loved ones were safe. Power was out for many days, and lots of our families and communities who were anxious at not being able to connect and check in on family. And one day I talked to our police team. There were 4,500 people registered on their list trying to track down if they were safe. Hundreds of whānau were displaced from their homes. Evacuation centres and community hubs were set up in council facilities, school halls, maraes, and I will always remember greeting our people arriving at the evacuation centre in their wet clothing. Hastings and Flaxmere received 1,900 people at their peak, and for weeks after, the community hubs distributed food and supplies to those in need. Civil Defence set up the distribution hub at Tawana Showgrounds to collect and coordinate the transportation of supplies to our isolated communities. I wish to acknowledge the incredible efforts of thousands of volunteers who worked in our distribution hubs, who prepared rescue packs, who cooked and delivered tons of food, who looked after pets, who cleared tons of silt and debris from homes, from Urapa, from marae, during the days, weeks and months that followed the cyclone. Everyone in our region united to help those in need. The cyclone deposited more than 3 million cubic metres of silt and debris across the region. It damaged 4,000 hectares of productive land, destroyed crops, vineyards and orchards, and wiped out produce and crops almost ready for harvest. The estimated loss to our region's economy was $1.4 billion. Our pastoral farming community suffered severe landslips, losing fences, dams, as well as having to cope with the damaged roads and the smashed property access ways. On top of that, they had to navigate the enormous challenge of moving stock from farm to town. Access region-wide was a challenge for our people who faced long days as our roading network was temporarily repaired and rebuilt, and we're still doing that today. For most of our impacted communities in those first few weeks and months, people needed answers to problems and quick solutions. Community meetings were set up in hubs, schools and maraes to share information. And can I acknowledge and thank all of you that worked tirelessly at that time. I wish to acknowledge the contribution of our government partners, Unison team, our council teams, our community leaders who supported those meetings as the recovery unfolded. With more than 1,000 homes damaged, our first priority was to collect tens of thousands of tonnes of damaged household goods. Then the urgent need to clear silt and debris from orchards and vineyards to save our productive crops. 1 year on, together we have achieved so much. We have cleared more than half of the silt and debris. We have built 10 temporary bridges, started rebuilding 2 permanent bridges, and repaired many kilometres of roading. But there is years of investment needed to fully fix 1,600 kilometres of damaged rural roads. I wish to acknowledge the hundreds and thousands of infrastructure workers, engineers, community and health workers, council officers and volunteers who have worked tirelessly over the past year to care for our people and rebuild our beautiful region. Although we have come a long way, we have still a way to go, with some significant challenges ahead of us. But we know with time and resources we can rebuild our infrastructure, our roads, our bridges and our economy. But it is today that we think about our people who are still facing the overwhelming task of moving on with their lives. Today I particularly want to acknowledge those who lost their loved ones and continuing the hardship for those people and families who are dealing with an uncertain future, along with the ever-present post-cyclone stress many of our families are still facing. Thank you for coming today, both to the most affected from the cyclone and members of our community who are standing firm and supporting everyone. As we work through many more months and years of recovery, I'm so pleased to see so many people wearing their black and white, our region's colours, as a sign of solidarity to support each other. While the memories of Cyclone Gabrielle still roar, day by day through our resilience, our togetherness and our selfless caring for each other, I know our community, united, we will get through the other side of this traumatic event. Amen. Today I drove through the beautiful area of Hawke, Clive, coming back from Napier. And I saw the harvest of the squash in the paddocks and the sun was shining. Kia kaha. Ngā mihi nui. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa.